Welcome to the Bleep Bulimia podcast with guest Katharine and Giovanni about forgiveness and intuition. Hi, everyone. I am Lorianne. I'm the host of Bleep Bulimia. And today I have Katharine and Giovanni with me. I'm so excited to have her on. She's a 3-time award-winning bestseller author of 12 books. She's a speaker, trainer, and advisor, and also the founder of the independent concierge industry. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So my question, what inspired you to follow this path?
My mother died. I grew up in a dysfunctional family. They were really quite pickled on both sides. Everybody was kind of an alcoholic. And I tried to commit suicide in the 8th grade. I was getting bullied and that kind of thing. And I kind of went through life after that, kind of floating, to be honest. And then my mother fell down a flight of stairs, broke her hip, and even she couldn't get a gin and tonic in Lenox Hill Hospital, although she would have tried if she could. So we sent her to rehab and she became sober, and we became closer than sisters, to be honest with you. We were as tight as anybody on the planet, best friends. And 3 years later, she died. And that was the flashpoint, because I realized if I didn't do something, I was going to die too. So I quit drinking, been sober 34 years. And in your recovery, you're told to make amends, and you're supposed to apologize and do a bunch of forgiveness work. So I did, but everybody says you need to forgive. Nobody teaches you how. They just say to do it. And I have a problem with that. What if I don't want to? Right? Or then they say forgive and forget. Okay. Second problem here, because maybe there's a unicorn person on the planet somewhere that's able to forget. I love this person, haven't met them yet, but I'm looking forward to finding one. I am not that person. So in my world, I finally, in 2020, some friends and we finally figured out exactly how to forgive people. And I have a whole process in the recent book that I wrote.
That's really interesting. So I'm curious about that. That's funny that you say that. So I had a situation where it was pretty bad. I try not to talk about it anymore. I'm past it now, but it took me, oh my goodness, close to 20 years to forgive her. But I actually, the last time we spoke, felt that release.
Yeah.
And it is so amazing.
Yep.
That, I mean, we still don't, we're not best friends or anything. It was a sister, but if she calls me up, it wouldn't bother me. Whereas before, I wouldn't even want to take a call. Like yeah. So I'm curious, because that took me 20 years to get to that.
Just because I forgive you doesn't mean I want a relationship with you. I probably don't.
Yeah.
And and I don't, I am what they call an extroverted introvert. So I can turn the button on and off when I want to, but I really have no interest in reaching out to people I used to be mad at. So I have no desire to tell anybody. So in my world, this forgiveness system is private. Forgiveness is really selfish. You do it for you. You don't do it for them. Let's be clear. My forgiving you does not mean what you did was correct. I'm not giving you a free pass. Forgiveness means, if I dumb it all the way down, I want you out of my head. Bottom line, that's what forgiveness is. I want to stop thinking about you. I want to stop thinking about the memories about you. I don't want to walk into a bakery and smell a donut and immediately get propelled to the past where you and I shared a donut. I want all of these things out of my head. And that's what this process does. And when you truly forgive somebody, you do feel, at least I do, I feel movement in my chest. One of my sons says he feels lighter in his shoulders. But forgiveness is selfish. You do it for 100% for you. Now, everybody listening to this broadcast, and I mean everybody, when Lorianne and I said forgiveness, or they saw it in the title of your podcast, everybody's doing the exact same thing on a 10 scale, with 10 being horrific, unforgivable dumpster fire, and 1 being super easy. Every single solitary one of you is thinking about your number 10 people. And you don't want to forgive that person. And that's fair. That is completely fair. And you might even be your number 10 person, because forgiving yourself is really, really hard. But I want you, in my world, you don't have to forgive your number 10s. Stay with me. You don't have to. Why? All sorts of people, places, and things, and I did say places and things, that you can forgive before you even get to that number 10 person. Let's start with the number ones, for example. Let's start with the people, the bully in school. Let's start with the person in the grocery store who took your parking spot. You can forgive that person. Let's start with the person in your office who keeps stealing your sandwich out of the company refrigerator. I hope you could forgive this person. Easy, easy people. And you work your way up to the harder ones slowly. I have worksheets and stuff in there too.
Oh, that's really interesting. So a little bit more of the process. So you're saying to start with the easy ones, getting to the harder ones. Is there, and we actually spoke prior to the podcast. I really enjoyed what you were talking about in regards to food and bulimia. And I said, you to speak to intuition as well, which I really want to get onto as well. And I said, well, intuition wise, we do know as bulimics that like intuitively that it's not right. But you said something really beautiful about that.
Sometimes, you need to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at me and saying, I can't do that, okay, I want you to start out when, in the process, I'm going to have you write down all the people, places, and things, and I'll explain the places and things in a minute, that you want to forgive on a piece of paper, and then rate them from 1 to 10. And you can have 5 5s and 3 2s and, 27s if you want. It's all good. But forgiving yourself is probably should be on that list. And if you're telling me I can't do it, then I want you to forgive yourself for not being able to forgive yourself. Start there. Forgive the food. Not kidding. Einstein proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just stays in your energy field and it just transforms into something else. That being said, when you get angry or you're in a horrible memory or your self-talk is bad, what happens? I have a science chapter in there too. We have experienced, all that fun stuff. But when you get mad, you think it leaves your mouth and it dissipates into the universe and just goes away. And no, it does not. What happens? And if you're listening to the podcast, I am about to hold a very dark cup in front of my face. All right. This coffee cup is anger. Notice my body language. You and I are having a conversation. I can talk to you. I can manage my anger. Yes, no, Mrs. Giovanni, I can manage this. I got this. I could stuff it in the back of my head and I could still see people. I can go out to dinner, go to the grocery store. I can do all sorts of things. But the longer I hold on to this glass, the more my arm's going to hurt. So now I'm using both hands to hold up my glass. Look at my body language. Okay, my world is starting to get a little smaller now because now I'm more focused on the glass than I was before. And my self-talk and the conversations I'm having with people are more focused on anger and the memories that got me to this angry place. If I continue to hold on to this glass and I don't forgive, now I'm holding the glass in front of my face. Look at my body language now. I have no arms. I have no hands because my entire focus is on the anger in the glass. I'm missing job opportunities. I'm missing healthful suggestions that might help me. I am missing my dream relationship. Why? Because all I can see is the anger. It's all I'm talking about. It's all I'm thinking about. My friend circle has now gone down from like 10 people to 1. Why? Who wants to be around me? All I'm doing is talking about it. And even if you spin it funny, you're still talking about it. So my method will allow you to put the glass down. And the special sauce to the whole thing is everybody forgets about the energy. Everything on the planet has an energy around it. And the reason people don't stay forgiven is you didn't forgive the energy around the person. So you forgive the person, the energy around the person. And I have a little mantra in the book. You don't have to burn sage. You don't have to jump around. You don't have to have any crystals unless you want to. That's fine by me, but it's just a really simple prayer. And it's, you forgive the person, the energy around the person, you forgive yourself and the energy around yourself and the energy around the whole thing. I forgave 1974. I did the entire dumb year and the energy around the entire dumb year. Why? Everybody wants to know. Well, because that's the year my parents got a horrible divorce. I was getting super bullied in school really badly, and I tried to commit suicide. So I did forgive all the players, and I forgave my childhood school. Why? Because every time you drive by that school and you look, you're going to see a memory. You're going to have a memory. Your childhood home. You think about your childhood home. And if you had a dark childhood, the memories are going to come up when you think about that childhood home. So you forgive the home and the energy around the home. You forgive the school and the energy around the school. Can't forgive the bullies? Okay, how about forgiving the kids who watched you get bullied and didn't do anything? Forgive them. Forgive the energy around them. Forgive your desk, the table, the chair. This is why when you finally do get to your number 10s, there's other stuff within those memories that you can forgive that nobody's ever thought of before you even get to the bully. It's like an onion. You're going to start peeling back the layers. You can get the 10 down to a 9, down to a 7, down, see what I'm doing? You're kind of, as you keep doing it, you keep working the process. So this is really a marathon. It's not a sprint. But please, please, with every fabric of my soul, start with the 1s. Don't start with the 10s.
That's very interesting. Very, very interesting. So, I'd like to know, so your book is all about that. Please
It
tell us
is.
something.
It's called The Ultimate Path to Forgiveness, Unlocking Your Power. It's available on Amazon. And for those of you who do not like to read, I got your back. The audiobook is available as well.
Awesome. So I noticed that we say founder of the independent concierge industry. I just wanted, if you wouldn't mind expanding on that. I personally don't know what it is. There wasn't much information on your profile about that, so you can explain it to us.
The concierge idea has been in the hotel industry for decades. And I think all of us are used to going up to the hotel concierge and getting dinner reservations and tickets to a show and, get me a cab, that kind of thing. Well, about 25, 30 years ago, I'm seriously dating myself now, a core group of hotel concierge decided, and there were about 10 of them, thinking, this is around 1995, 1996, something like that. A core group of hotel concierge said, if I can do this in the hotel world, I'll bet you I can bring it to mainstream America. And they did very successfully. And the industry was born. So in 1998, my husband and I had a small meeting, an event planning company. And back in those days, we were dial-up modems and floppy disks. You could get a coffee and a cup of and a sandwich in the time it took to download something. And we thought that was fast. Thank you very much. But the internet was not as robust as it was today. So we were doing a lot of meeting and event planning. So we read an article in Entrepreneur Magazine that talked about this brand new industry called the concierge industry. And we kind of looked at each other and went, we're probably doing more of that work than anything else. So we flipped our company, we pivoted, we turned ourselves into a concierge company. And it's like an errand service. And within 6 months, the telephone started to ring, quite frankly, with people from all over the country saying, I'd like to start a concierge business. What do you charge? How do I do it? And I was helping them until my husband walked in and asked me the $1 million question. Why are you doing it for free? Really excellent question. So we pivoted our company a second time and turned ourselves into a concierge consulting company. I wrote a bunch of books about it. I started an association because there was no association for these people. It was just a bunch of random people. So I kind of corralled them into an association, ran that for over 20 years until, quite frankly, 2020, the pandemic killed it. And then I have since retired from that industry. But that's what the concierge, that's what they do. They will literally do anything. I used to say the yellow pages. I have to update my thing. They will do anything on Google as long as it's legal, moral, and ethical. A concierge will do it. You give them your entire to-do list and they'll just go and do it. And there are very excellent concierge in almost every city around the world today.
Wow. So there we go. Now my listeners know as well. We've been educated on that. That's very interesting. Sorry, it was really kind of funny because when you said concierge, first thing I thought was Pretty Woman.
Yep, that's right. Exactly.
Right?
I love
Oh,
that
he
movie, by
played
the
that
way.
so well too. Oh my goodness.
Big mistake. Big
Big
mistake. Should
mistake.
have served me. Yeah, I'm a customer service trainer. So when that scene happened, I was legitimately horrified. Bad. You know, the wealthiest person in the room probably has overalls on. So be careful. Be
It's
really,
true.
really careful who you dismiss.
Absolutely. Yes, I had one of those, and it was kind of interesting. I managed a jewelry store when I was 22, and there was a woman who came in all like very, very proper makeup, rings and
Mhm.
everything, and she was so rude to the staff. And so one of my staff members was helping her out. And she goes, "Oh, I want to speak to the manager." So I walk over. I said, "Is there a problem?" She goes, "Where's your manager?" I go, "I'm the manager." Right. And like, and she was nitpicking everything. And anyway, I wasn't sad to see her walk out. And then another guy comes in, like not much long after her, in jeans and a t-shirt. And he bought the most
Yep.
expensive ring in the place. Like, and you would not, right? So you would think that she would have been the one. That's exactly what you're saying, is do not judge the person that walks in front
Don't
of you.
judge. And don't
No.
judge. Some of the richest people in the world are warm, friendly, approachable, and
Yes.
really nice people. Now, there are a group of rich people who are ugly and horrid, and none of us want to know them, but they're not all like that. And when everybody assumes rich people are bad, okay, if you want money in your life and you're saying rich people are bad and they want to get us, you're putting a shield around yourself, preventing yourself from getting money.
It's true.
And money is just energy anyway. So if you think rich people are bad, you might want to change that mindset a little bit because you're stopping everything in its tracks from coming near you.
It's true. It's funny. My daughter was speaking to that too. She says, like, if you have the positive energy, being
Yep.
around people with money and the positive energy, yeah, it meshes together. So she was right
Jim
about that.
Rohn, one of my favorite quotes in the world is by Jim Rohn, and he said, "You are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with." So, who are you spending time with? Are you spending time with negative people or positive people? Are you spending time with negative people and they don't want to see you succeed, or are you spending time with people who are brighter, smarter, and better than you, who do want to see you succeed? Who are you spending your time with? And your first step is probably to forgive all the people you're spending time with, and then kind of gradually sprinkling in some very positive people. Now, if we're talking about family, okay, that's going to be hard. Let's say it's Thanksgiving and you always sit next to Aunt Martha. Apologies to anybody who's named Martha. I feel so sorry for the people who are named Karen for the same reason.
Oh,
So
me too.
right? I
Yes.
know
Oh,
a few people named Karen and they're lovely people.
yes.
But, you know,
It's
Aunt
awful.
Martha, and you know what she always gets drunk and she always spews the negative. And for some reason, your mom always puts you next to this aunt. And I don't know why you've asked her not to, but yet here you are sitting next to her every year. So you're faced with it. So you can either go to Thanksgiving knowing what you're going to do or not go. Okay, I have another method. Forgive Aunt Martha before you get there. Forgive the energy around Aunt Martha. Forgive the energy around Thanksgiving. Forgive the memories of Thanksgiving. Now, is that going to prevent Aunt Martha from saying what she usually does? No, of course not. But at least you'll be able to laugh at it. You could turn it into a drinking game if you want. Every time she says something, you take a shot. You know, I mean, it's that kind of thing. You can have some fun with it. And what forgiveness does, it neutralizes the memory. You're not going to think positive about it. You're not going to think negative about it. It's
Hmm.
literally going to neutralize it. So you can go back into your past and it won't bother you anymore. That's when you know you've forgiven because you literally don't give, excuse my language, but you don't give a damn. You just
Yeah.
don't care. You can go on Facebook, see Aunt Martha's face, and you don't care. You just don't. That's when you know you've forgiven. So forgive Aunt Martha before you go.
Love it. Then the other thing too, in regards to intuition, I like that there was one thing that said something about the gut, but you says years of experience,
Yep. Yep.
right?
I am actually very, very intuitive, and not to freak anybody out, but I'm clairvoyant, clairaudient, empathic, and claircognizant, which really means I'm very in touch. The English behind that means I'm really intuitive and I'm really in touch with my intuition. And that's the only word I use. I don't use the word psychic because I think it has a bad negative connotation. And when you hear the word psychic, you think gypsies, crystal ball, they're going to take my money on. It's a con. I'm a grifter. So I don't use it. And I also believe, I wrote a little book called The Little Bird on Your Shoulder, because I believe that everybody on the planet is intuitive. Absolutely everybody listening to this broadcast is intuitive. You either see it, feel it, know it, or you just sense it. How about you go into a room and it just feels off? You don't know why. You're looking at people, they're dressed nicely, everybody's doing well, and you can't pin it. It just feels wrong. So leave. Not kidding. That's the little bird in your shoulder. The little bird in my shoulder has saved my life 3 times. Not that I'm counting particularly. I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I'm also wildly allergic to exercise. So in 2011, I get this message that I needed to take up jogging. And because I'm a little stubborn, I looked up at the ceiling and I said, no, I don't want to. But I couldn't get it out of my head. You need to run, you need to run, you need to run. So finally, because it's like fighting a river, I decided to try the Couch to 5K running program, which is right online, and it works very well. So before I knew it, I was running. And I went from a size 14 down to an 8. I knew the weight was coming off too quick. I knew it. And it turns out I had stage 3 breast cancer, and I was sick for 4 years. I'm 12 years clean now. But the surgeon said the lump was in such a strange position that if I hadn't lost the weight, I would have never found it. Nobody would have found it because the mammograms didn't work on me. So I'd be dead. So when the little bird in your shoulder tells you to do something, listen to it. It's that soft, quiet voice that everybody has. You might hear it, you might see something in your mind, you might smell something, you might feel something, but everybody uses their intuition absolutely every day, but everybody does it differently. Can you imagine what would happen to Fortune 500 companies if everybody was allowed to use their intuition? Because society has this crazy habit of slapping the "you're crazy" sticker on anybody who starts to say something weird. Imagine what would happen to those companies if everybody was allowed to be weird and allowed to be intuitive. I can only imagine the great things they could accomplish.
Well, that and the remaining youthful. It
Yeah.
was like my sister and we took mom
Yeah.
for lunch, and there was this on TV, the greatest mascots,
Mhm.
and they were doing the craziest things. My sister says they can do whatever they want. They've got masks on, right? Because they're mascots, so they're all covered, so no one knows who's inside that little crazy
No,
looking
nobody
creature.
knows. You can do whatever you want.
And you could do whatever you want. And it's crazy that we can't be that way without a mascot suit on. Like, just be like
Hey,
whatever.
in 2020, when we were all wearing masks,
Yeah.
um, I used to stick my tongue out at people and nobody knew I was doing it. It was so liberating. If somebody was really nasty to me and I had a mask on, 10 out of 10 times, I was probably sticking my tongue out at you because it made me feel better. And as soon as we didn't wear the masks anymore, I was actually a little disappointed because I couldn't get away with it anymore. And I had to behave myself. You
It's
got to
actually
entertain
interesting.
yourself.
Lately, I've been seeing a lot more people back with masks coming in. So I work at a
Yeah.
dealership, and
Yeah.
they're coming in, the families with masks on. Quite a few this past week. So which I find
Yeah, it's in my
interesting.
house. My son got COVID. My husband has it, and I just got tested. I do not have COVID. I've never had it. Kind of wondering if I'm
Wow.
immune. Yeah, I kind of hiding up here in my office. Thank you very much. Please stay away from me. But yeah, no, it's apparently it is going around big time.
Yeah. Yeah. I had it once. I had it once, and scarily, it was when my dad was still alive, and then he got it. But that's not what he passed away from. He got over it.
Oh,
Um,
good.
yeah, which I was really lucky about. But yeah, so and me, it was like after once you were allowed to not have your masks on. So I didn't through the COVID period, I didn't get it. I got it after they kind of opened
Well,
up the
trust your intuition. Not if you're bulimic, because as we've said, it's probably not a good thing to trust your intuition because it's telling you to do something you probably shouldn't be doing, right? So in that particular case, and I can't, yes, your mindset is a beautiful thing. I want you to stay positive. That's exactly how I got through cancer, to be honest. Um, your mindset is an incredibly powerful thing. Back in 2012, I don't think they do it anymore, but they used to send you to chemo class. Yay me. And you, and I did lose my hair. I looked like Mama Schmeagol. You remember Schmeagol from Lord of the Rings? That's what I looked like, except I was a girl. They used to call me Mama Schmeagol. I wrote a book about that too, because of course I did. And they send you, and this Nurse Ratched would sit right at the front of the room and tell you all the negative stuff that's going to happen to you, all the side effects, all the drugs. And I was sick for 4 years, chemo, radiation, 10 operations, blah, 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 the whole thing. And my brain snapped. And I walked up to the front of the room, and I live in the South. So in her Southern drawl, I said, I am not going to get all those side effects. She said, oh, honey, you're going to get most of them. I said, no, I'm not. Fast forward 1 year. Now, I took care of myself. I combined Eastern and Western medicine. I did take the chemo, but I also did a lot of mindset and clean eating, got rid of all the chemicals, I did all the things, but I also kept really positive. And being positive is like taking a shower. You kind of have to do it every day. And sometimes it's a minute by minute choice. And she comes up to me a year later in the hall and she says, Mrs. Giovanni, what are you doing? I'm kind of looking around. It's kind of a strange question to ask somebody in the hall. And I said, excuse me. And she said, what are you eating? I said, well, I'm eating clean. She said, no, what are you doing? You're not as sick as you should be. You've got stage 3. We hit you with the major chemos. Why aren't you as sick as everybody else? And I smiled at her and I said, remember a year ago when I told you I wasn't going to get that sick? She said, yeah. I said, that's what I did. She said, no, you must be doing something. She didn't believe me. So, your attitude is everything. You can't control what life throws at you, but you can certainly control how you get through it. And the person you were yesterday is not the person you are today. You can forgive that person yesterday. You can forgive him or her for becoming the person you had to be in order to survive. You can forgive the energy around that person. And you can take things a minute at a time and move forward while forgiving all of the other players in your life and forgiving the food and forgiving the people that caused you to do that. Forgive the places, forgive your home, the bed, the table. You could forgive all of this stuff. Just make sure you do it before bed because your body heals itself when you're sleeping. That's been established. Don't do more than 10 to 12 people at a time. The reason being is when we came up with this method, I am an overachiever. So I wrote my list, people, places, and things. Whatever came into my head, I wrote it down. It's called intuitive writing, and you just write it down. And I must have had like 50 or 60 people. And I'm like, this is going to be great. I'm going to do it all before bed and I'm going to get it all. It's going to be like ripping off a Band-Aid. I'm just going to get rid of it all at once. I'm going to be a new person in the morning. Okay. Didn't work out that way. I did forgive everybody on that list. Some of them I had to do a couple times. And I spent the next 3 days in bed with what everybody thought was a stomach flu. It was not the stomach flu. My body just needed to get rid of the anger energy that was within my body. There was a Japanese, stay with me. There's a Japanese study who was this guy named Matsumoto, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it, who studied water. And I'm really dumbing this down big time in the interest of time. 2 containers of water. One container he spoke loving words to and treated it really well. The other container he spewed hate and negativity and said these horrible things. Put them both under a microscope. The water he spoke hateful things to had these black and brown transformations, really ugly. Google it. It's right online. Pictures are fascinating. And the water he spoke love to, beautiful, crystal, gorgeous formations. Why am I telling you this? Your body is over 90% water. So when you're saying negative self-talk, you're spewing hate, you're spewing anger. What do you think the cells in your body are doing to your organs? They're turning black and brown. So when people say anger is toxic and your self-talk is toxic, this is the how. This is the exact how. This is the how and this is the why. So by forgiving yourself, you're literally changing your body chemistry and becoming a different person.
It's funny because I was, my mother, she goes, oh, I'm so stupid. And I said, don't ever say that in front of me. She goes, well, I can say I'm who I
Exactly.
am. I go, right. But I said, the problem is your mind's going to start believing it. And it's a negative thing. I did a lot of negative talks. And sometimes even I still do it. Oh, Lorianne, you're so clumsy. You know, mom used
Oh
to
yeah,
say
I do
that
it
to me.
too.
And then but I'm very acutely aware of when I say, and you go, you're not allowed to say that to yourself.
I usually say erase, erase.
Oh, that's a
I'll
good one
catch
too.
myself saying something and then I'll just then I'll just say erase, erase. And it's just something I've been doing for 20 years. It's just, and I'll catch
I like that.
myself. But we're all
Yeah.
humans.
Yeah.
Humans make other humans angry. It just, this is the human experience, but it's just a matter of using a few tools to get yourself through it.
Beautiful. Well, before we leave, please let's review. Let our listeners know where they can find you, name, title of your book again, and yeah.
They can find me at katharinegiovanni.com. And Katharine, thanks to my mother, is spelled a little bit strangely. Thanks, Mom. Katharine, Giovanni.com. And you can also find my book on Amazon, the paperback, the audiobook, and the ebook. And it's called The Ultimate Path to Forgiveness, Unlocking Your Power.
Beautiful. And you were saying the little bird on the shoulder?
I have a bunch of books on there, some business books. If you're interested in learning how to be a concierge, you can pick up the concierge manual. It's a little dull reading, but you can. The 6th edition is out, but I also have a book about my cancer journey called Rainbows and Banana Peels. And if you want to unlock your intuition and figure out how to use it, pick up The Little Bird on Your Shoulder.
Beautiful. Thank you again so much for being here today. This was just a lovely, conversation. I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Have a great day. Thank you for listening to this episode. Be sure to visit me at bleepbulimia.com.